The topic for this video presentation is Law of Torts. We will talk about the introduction, its roles, and its applications. Now let's begin. What is tort? Tort is a common law of jurisdiction, is a civil wrong that causes a claimant to suffer loss or harm. This results in legal liability for the person who commits the tortious act. Types of torts: intentional tort, torts based on negligence, strict liability torts. Differences between crimes and torts. Crime is a wrong that has been done by violation of public duty. Tort is a wrong that comes from violating private duty. A crime can also be constituted as a tort. How? The answer is assault. A person who is assaulted may bring criminal charges against the other and can also sue for damages under tort law. Main types of torts: trespass, false imprisonment, negligence, malpractice, nuisance, defamation, strict or absolute liability, vicarious liability. Trespass is an act which a person who interacts without another person belonging without consent. Example is going to someone's land without any permission or using someone else's personal property. False imprisonment is detaining a person who did not give any consent to you doing so. You also cannot detain a person randomly without proper proof of that person doing wrong.
Negligence. It is a person who does not want to follow a degree of care. Not being careful enough can get you into a lot of trouble, not just with the law but also self-harm. A person who is negligent would act less careful than anyone else that is reasonable under the same circumstance. Malpractice is a failure by not a regular person but by a professional. It is the professional skills and use that other members in their professions would use during that time. When a professional such as a doctor, attorney, or anyone other professional makes a contract to perform a service, there is a guideline they must obey and must take the utmost care when doing so. Failing to do so is counted as a malpractice. Nuisance is a civil wrong that can be anything as long as it is an act of wrongdoing. It can also be something that interferes or annoys others in enjoyment of their legal right. A nuisance is when someone stops another from enjoying their property or that makes its use uncomfortable. There are two types of nuisance: public nuisance and private nuisance. Public nuisance is an act of obstructing public rights. Private nuisance is nuisance that affects one person or a certain number of people of enjoyment of their private rights that is not known public. Defamation is a statement of false communication that harms the reputation of another person. The law of defamation protects people's good names from being falsely accused and also derogatory. Defamation consists of two torts. They are libel and slander. Libel is defamation that can be seen such as writing. Slander is defamation that false oral statements that can ruin one's career. Strict or absolute liability is legal responsibility for damage or injury. Even if that person was found not at fault, the plaintiff must prove that the tort happened and the defendant is highly responsible. Vicarious liability is the responsibility of a superior for the act of a subordinate. It is the responsibility of a third party who has the rights, ability, or duty to control the activities of the wrongdoing.
It is like a relationship of master and a servant. It includes the power to direct a servant in execution of his or her duty employment and to control the act that are done. Objective of torts: protection of interests, deterrences, compensation, punishment of wrongful conduct. Protection of interest is the protection of someone's land, property, reputation, or integrity. As an example, torts of nuisance protect the person's enjoyment of his property. Torts of defamation protect his or her reputation, and torts of negligence protect the breach of the general duties. Deterrence affect people in such that it encourages people to take less risk and conduct activity carefully. They should also be mindful of other people's properties and the effect it causes. Punishment of wrongful conduct means the wrongdoer is required to pay back to the victim. It is a symbol of moral value that is in the law of tort. Compensation means to provide compensation for victims that have injury or loss. Tortious liability. It is a liability in tort that comes when someone does something. That is not allowed, that person does not do what is supposed to do. Intention in tort is a state of mind and may be done by a person in two ways. First is by a person who knows the consequences of his action. Second, foreseeable, which means a person is presumed to have intention of an act. Motive and malice, which means during a trial it is important to look into the act and not to the intention of why a person has a motive for his action. Torts require proof of damage before a defendant can be held liable. However, not all torts require proof of damage because a tort can be actionable per se. Damage is a monetary compensation that the defendant pays to the plaintiff. There are two categories of damage.
One is unliquidated damage. Unliquidated damage are unquantifiable damage as pain and suffering. Limitation means that the plaintiff has to commence his action within the limited period by law. If they fail to complete the limitation period, the action will go toward to defend the defendant. Public nuisance and private nuisance. Public nuisance is an action of obstructing public right. Private nuisance is nuisance that affect one person or a certain number of people of enjoyment of their private right that is not known public.